let people kind of pile into the room. And we're live.
No
It's happened. We are on the internet for everyone to behold.
old being the key word.
There you go. Oh man, you are indeed looking comfy in that chair.
It is so nice on the lower back. Like,
yeah, okay. I've been shopping around on them. I'm slowly starting to dance with the idea of, in my wild unemployment, to do a little bit of video game streaming.
Do it.
Got to invest.
Yeah.
Got to put some money into things. I'm sitting on a shitty Acer laptop right now, so.
No, that's already like just the fact that you're on that. I'm on like a 10-year-old Dell.
Oh yeah, that'll do it. Oh man, all right, we got one person in here. Let's keep it coming, and then we can start to talk to each other like we're people.
Okay. Shh.
Still waiting on that notification. All right, we'll actually go right for it. I'm not gonna make it that awkward for everybody. I just want to find one thing here. We get another. Oh, we're up to 2 people. Holy crap! Look at those numbers move, man.
We'll get there.
We'll get there. As long as we're all set up. Just trying to. There we go. All right, we are good. For everybody watching in recorded land, my name is Jason Greenberg, and I'm a writer and content creator for Bucketlist Music Reviews, as you could probably tell by the fact that I'm a human billboard. I am joined by an illustrious guest today. I've got Marc Motley from the Arson Choir.
You're already overstating, like.
Already overstating.
How's it going, man?
It is. Everything's a dumpster fire, but we're alive.
Very accurate.
Very accurate. And how's everything going with you, man?
It's going, bro. Like, just trying to get through everything. Working on moving forward, trying to stay positive. It's a little hard in the climate that we're at, but at the same time, like, we just got through like 4 of the dumbest years in my lifetime. So, I mean, that's pretty good, right?
Everything has to be an uphill at a certain point, right? Like, everything has to, like, okay, I've hit the bottom, haven't I? You know?
Yeah, I feel like that's the world outlook on America right now. Like, you guys hit bottom. It's time to build that shit back up. Okay.
You know? Please tell me this is the bottom. We can't actually go lower than this, right? And then someone says giant space lasers made by Jewish people. That's how.
I mean, that's the aliens, and we're just waiting for the reports for that. So.
Yeah. I mean, listen, aliens I'm fine with. Giant Jewish space lasers, that's a whole other thing.
I like how they were specific with that. Like, no, it's got to be the Jewish space lasers.
It's the Jews that are making wildfires. 100%. It's not bad enough that they control the entertainment industries. Wildfires, space lasers, that's happening. All right, so we're not going to dwell on politics. We are not people of politics here.
I'm going to try not to. I promise.
Oh, you can speak of politics all you like. I, on the other hand, have to try and be professional. So we will kick it off. So obviously we know how you're doing. How is it going for the band? You just released an incredibly meaty little EP by the name of Invisible Monsters that I got to listen to when it came out. That did interesting things to my ears, I don't mind saying. First of all, how are you feeling in this standpoint of having to release an album during COVID, and how do you feel the reception's been on the album with these few months that have passed since it's been out?
So we were very lucky in how well it was received. We put that out because we had to, like to be completely honest, like doing the record in the time that it was done, as far as it being in the lockdown, it was more like we had to release something no matter what. Like we've never been the kind of band that like, what's the right time, or is this okay, or something like that. This music needed to come out, and it was one of those things where we didn't want to sit on it forever, and we're very much a band. Like our outlook as the band has always been, you're not always promised tomorrow, and if nothing else, like this lockdown has kind of showed that you're never promised tomorrow. And we've always thought, like, the band could end, something could happen to somebody could get sick, somebody could just change their mind and not want to play anymore. Whatever, life happens. And this kind of mindset has always pushed us to kind of go, let's just get this out. It needs to come out. We need to do what we need to do regardless of the situation. That being said, the reception for what we've done is beyond overwhelming. Everything has been so positive, and everybody is just constantly asking what's next and what's going on. And for me, that just means so much to me, because the fact that you're interested in my little, whatever band out of Southern California, like, there's so many other things that you could be using your brain power for. And the fact that you give me 10 minutes of your time to fill it with dumb riffs and whatever we're pissed off about that day, that means a lot to me.
For sure.
Outside of that, like, the band is okay for the most part. We're doing our best to stay safe and continue moving forward and, try to keep progress going. That being said, like, there's no shows, obviously, so there's no way for us to, like, move merch or really build more local buzz. So we've been doing our best to just stay online, release content online, and try to keep interest that way.
That's absolutely the way to do it, unfortunately. You know what I mean? A lot of old members of the music community have always said, we've essentially become, merchandise vendors. That's really like the big thing we are. So you take away live concerts, you take away your ability to set up shop and sell your merchandise and sell who you are as people, as artists, as a band. So it's definitely hard times all around, and it is always fantastic to see the bands that persevere in terms of releasing music. And you guys are definitely one of those acts that were just like, you know what? This baby can't sit more than 9 months. A birth's got to happen here one way or another. So if you got to push it out, push it out. And it's good to see that you guys have muscled through with it. Without dwelling too much on the COVID topic, because we deal with enough of it on an everyday fucking basis. Hopefully we are closer than we are further from the end of this whole fucking debacle. Knock wood.
I hope so.
And obviously I've got as many questions as I can. That keeps us as far away from that topic as possible. So it's good to see. It's good to hear that you're feeling good about it, and that the reception has been as good as I hoped it was. I myself was one of the people that reviewed your record when it came out. I definitely love it. It is just full of balls. It is just heavy, like heavy should be. And it doesn't take breaks for anybody. It doesn't veer off course for anybody. You need a piss break, I don't care. We're just staying heavy.
Thank you, buddy. I appreciate that, because whatever when we got to read your review, it's honest, and that's what I appreciate. I don't need 20 guys just like saying it's great and like moving on to the next thing. Like, your stuff was honest and to the point and what we needed to hear, because that's the kind of stuff that I think helps us look inward and criticize ourselves and go, okay, like, let's do better, because clearly, like, you liked it, and let's continue to make sure we're doing what we do the best way we can do it, so you can continue liking it. I think we'd like to put ourselves in a place where we don't release garbage. Like, I try to make sure, like, whatever we release, like, it's the best of whatever we can do at the time. And it might take us a while to get there. It might take us a while to get those, like, riffs and everything together. But I feel like at the end of the day, like, I don't want to put something out there that's subpar. I don't want to put something out there just to, like, here, we finished a record.
Make no mistake, you did the furthest thing from that. And I genuinely, I don't get to get reviewed very often for what I do, and at least in a positive manner. So thank you. It's mostly in the form of death letters and piles of shit and paper bags at my doorstep that are lit ablaze, or somebody tries to jerk off on my face running by on the street.
Oh no,
wild shit has happened.
We'll save that for the next record.
Make no mistake, I am coming to California. Opportunity will still present itself. On another note, during this whole debacle, us being both connoisseurs of all things heavy, angry, and just unadulteratedly pissed off, what have you been listening to during this whole shit show? What has been catching your ear?
Yeah, no, I've been I've been able to like digest more content than ever, and it's really been refreshing to kind of see. When we put out this record, we got overwhelmingly accepted by the mathcore community, and that's really opened my brain up to I've always loved mathcore. I've always loved stuff like the Dillinger Escape Plan, the Bled, Psyopus, and they're great bands, but there's such a mathcore revival right now with bands like this one, The Sound That Ends Creation, bands like Steak Sauce Mustache, Eyes, the Callous Dowboys is another great one. I'm really looking forward to that record. So it's cool to kind of be in the same sentence and paragraph and breath with these bands that I really enjoy listening to already. And then they're like, oh, like, and also the Arson Choir. And I'm like, whoa, wait, no, chill. Like, we're not on that level at all. And so it's cool. It's cool to hear that. It's cool to kind of be a part of that community, because I don't know if I consider us mathcore. Like, we're like diet mathcore, is the way I like to put it. We're like the gateway drug to mathcore.
Okay.
Because like I just don't feel like I've been lucky enough to kind of start taking legitimate guitar lessons and like seeing how flawed my playing actually is. And you hear
say that,
and you hear the other guys that were compared to it. I'm like, yo, those dudes shred, and I'm just like, I'm over here playing my stupid horror chords.
But the more humble you are, the more I love you and want to like just like hold and cradle you.
But yeah, Sound That Ends Creation, Steak Sauce Mustache, Callous Dowboys. We've got some friends in bands like Takers Leavers. I'm getting Differences, and then anytime I get a chance to like check out something new, like I do my best to check out. Like I was just listening to Justice for the Damned, something like that, and it's
that
dope.
name has come across my desk at some point.
Yeah, they're dope, and the lockdown has shown me, if nothing else, like make time to check out some new music. Like make time to check out your friend's band that you've been saying that like, oh yeah, I'll go to the show. Well, you don't have a choice anymore. Like you're stuck at home. It's time to check out that record.
For sure. I wholeheartedly agree with you. There are discographies that I've been able to dive into more than anything, and in agreement with you on this front. The thing that I've done the most during quarantine is my bubble mate and best friend in the whole wide world, as well as boss lady who beats the shit out of me whenever I fuck anything up, has gotten me into more pop culture things that I have never watched before during quarantine than I ever would have digested before. I've watched more horror movies than I've ever watched in my life because I'm not a horror fan. I've seen Fear with Mark Wahlberg. I've seen all kinds of classic that I just would not have taken the time for and enjoyed enthusiastically, be it because it's a work of art or because I love making fun of it. We have time, use time, and it's great to see that you're putting so much of it into your own community in that sense. When I first listened to you guys, I definitely didn't, because mathcore for me, I don't know if it was the same for you. When it was introduced to me, it was bands like Protest the Hero. It was very almost power metal. You know what I mean? And then in the journey, I found, okay, well, bands like Dillinger Escape Plan are also considered mathcore, and bands like Norma Jean are also considered mathcore. So it's great to end up here where you have a product that's just so unadulteratedly heavy. And wouldn't typically be like, oh yeah, this is a mathy song. But ever since I heard, or like in my research saw that that's typically the vein that you guys try to go for, it seems so much more apparent in your music now. So don't sell yourself so short is my main point. You are not mathcore light. You are just, there is nothing light about anything that you do.
I like that.
That being said, I did have to do some research for this interview because that's what I do. And in one of your previous interviews, long before you put out Invisible Monsters, you were asked a question where do you guys consider a song done? And you said you think a song is done when your drummer is at full capacity of like, I can't fucking do this anymore.
Yep.
I gotta know which song on Invisible Monsters did that for Kevin this time around.
It was that's an easy answer. It was definitely Vanisher.
Really?
Vanisher was the song that not only was an uphill battle for him, because I think when he initially heard the riffs, it was a little overwhelming and it was a little much. And when we started like diving into like the different rhythms and the different time changes and the different tempo changes and adding layers, it was a battle to convince him that this was a banger. And I always stood by like, no, like this initial riff is what's going to set off the rest of this song. And once you get past this riff, you get this interesting chorus. And once you get past this chorus, you get this dope, like slammy breakdown. And he was just not into it. I'll be 100% honest. Like he was not convinced at all. And and eventually we got to the point to where he gets to the point to where like, I'm just going to play it. And hopefully by the time we get to demoing, by the time we get to recording, by the time we get to mixing, like hopefully there's a spot where he'll start liking it. And I think what convinced him was we started playing it live.
That'll do it.
We started playing it live and he started seeing the response was like, oh, like this does hit. Like there's sections where we can really go off and there's a lot of emotion in there. And I feel like when he grasped that, when he finally was like, oh, like this is a banger, is when he accepted like, okay, well, this works. Everything else, I think everything else with Gore and Chem and Revenge, I think those were somewhat easy in a way. Like they were kind of thought out and thought through and the riffs that were there and he grasped them fairly quickly. But I think with Vanisher, that was the one that we had a little bit of an uphill struggle with him. And
okay.
Yeah, and like I said, when it was done was when he finally went, I'm done. The song's done. We're done.
I truly wish I could be a fly on the wall for that conversation. And what's hilarious to me is because that seems to be a very prevalent thing. Anytime you're put on a camera and somebody's asking you questions about the songwriting, you always find yourself in this place where it's like, yeah, my band hates what I write, but I make them play it anyway.
To a degree. Like, I've definitely tried to. I'm sorry, my dog's barking.
We actually kind of want to see said dog. That would mean a lot to literally everyone watching. There it is.
This is the loud one right now.
That's not a dog. That's an Ewok. That's
I don't like it right now. But to get to your point, I've definitely tried to adopt the like Andy Williams from E-Tid kind of
hell yeah
thought process, which is whatever you're doing, just keep doing it, because nobody's going to do what you do, no matter how much somebody tries. Like you're always. I think that was the one thing I needed to learn playing guitar was you need to sound like you. Nobody else is going to sound like you. And when you broaden that and turn it into a band, like as much as like something is selling or somebody's band is moving or somebody's band is moving tickets or however you want to quantify success, you need to do you. And I feel like as long as I stay at least somewhat close to that, somewhat close to like, I would love, I love taking input from everybody, but at the same time, I have an idea of what I want to listen to. And I think that there's a lot of musicians that once they're done with the record, they don't listen to it anymore. And
Ignore More, believe it or not, is one of them.
Yeah.
Once Mike Patton puts it out into the world, I never want to see it again.
And I've always wanted to make music that I want to listen to. And I've been lucky enough with a couple of other projects where I can kind of remove myself from the equation and just listen to the music.
That is unbelievably inspiring. That hits so very close to home, and I love everything that you just said. But I will extrapolate upon that just a teeny bit forward. That statement of no one's going to do you but you spans across every member of every band, and it's something that I don't know if you see it as well in Southern California as much as I see it in Montreal, Quebec. A lot of bands will desperately try to be somebody else in hopes of riding those coattails. So it always warms my little black heart when I hear somebody be like, no, I need it to be me on this record. So it's fucking awesome that you did that. It shines through. You definitely do something that's very, 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 although, like I said in the review, there are influences, it's still so uniquely you guys in its concoction and in everything that puts it together. It's still very much undoubtedly the Arson Choir. And as I've said before, I'm so stoked for whatever comes out after this, because I'm assuming there has to be a record, and that's got to be a segue into another question I didn't even write. Is there still something in the works right now, or are you guys going to continue to try and pump Invisible Monsters as much as you can?
So there's a long and short answer for that. The short answer of it is we actually released a live video very recently, and that has a new song in it. And that new song is going to go on whatever's coming next.
Okay.
We have been actively writing and working towards the next thing. There are schedules and plans in place for us to be kind of like on the ball to the next thing. And with that comes, coming back to dealing with lockdown. It comes with a lot of complications right now, because there's there's people that we want to work with, where as much as we want to work with them, due to circumstances, it just may not be an option. So we've kind of had to not restructure, but adapt to what's going on and go, okay, well, within the timeline of what we need for the next, whatever we're releasing, what can we do? What makes sense? What's in the budget? What makes sense, really? And that being said, there's stuff coming. We're working on putting enough material together to potentially do a full length.
Okay.
I know that's what a lot of people are asking, and this EP was kind of supposed to be the catalyst to see, all right, well, does it make sense to do a full length? Does it make sense to just keep doing EPs? Does it make sense to not do this band?
I don't like that last one.
Yeah.
Ditch that last one. No. First two. Yeah.
So
definitely.
Right now, it seems like there's enough interest in what we're doing to make a full length.
Hell yeah.
And full length being, I think Invisible Monsters was like 9 minutes long. So
that, if you recall, that was one of the things that I was most definitely left begging for more.
Yeah.
So there was more fucking,
I think
it's like throwing somebody one piece of brisket, no, give me the rest of the fucking.
Yeah. I mean, I think the full length might be 20 minutes.
Hey, I'm fine with that. I will pay good money for that extra 11 minutes, man.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't feel like this band needs to be restricted to like the 3-minute 30 radio length thing. If I have an idea that's a minute 30, then I'm going to play for a minute 30. If I have an idea that's 6 minutes long, then I'm going to figure out how to get to 6 minutes. But I don't feel like setting a time constraint on material makes sense. Like I've just never been in that mindset. Like I look at it as an argument. I know you said something about being angry, but I look at it as an argument. Not every argument needs to last 10 minutes. Like
with any luck, it should only be 2 sentences. I don't like this. Well, here's the answer.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
there you go. That sometimes that's a song. Sometimes that's I had this idea, or I had this concept, or really Phil has a concept, and we move forward, and sometimes it'll be something random, and sometimes it'll be something meaningful. But I think in the end, as long as the idea is out, then we're done.
I am so with that. I am so very, very, very with that. There's nothing wrong about short records, man. Grindcore's a thing for a reason. And it's not because they want those songs to be longer. That's for motherfucking sure. we will touch on some other things about the record. We're not gonna dwell too much on any one given place. The next thing I'm going to ask you is more based on some of the content that you guys have actually put out. You recently put out a video for Gore Was Right, which is wildly hilarious in every conceivable fucking fashion. I'm actually just plugging myself in here because fuck my internet connection. In the
there we go. Are you back? I think we're back.
Yeah, we're good.
Okay, cool.
Was that me? Was that you? Is everything cool?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, it was. All right.
Okay, we're good.
Where did we leave off? I can just hit rewind here.
We just finished the conversation about an argument being 2 sentences.
Yes, awesome. All right, and like I said, grindcore is a thing for a reason. Nobody wants those songs to be longer. They don't need to be longer. So I'm going to move on
about grindcore. Real quick, because I've just been getting into the grindcore, like I'm just dipping my toe in the grindcore thing, and this Sound That Ends Creation is the most grindcore thing that I've like kind of wrapped my brain around. Is it just something that's like not been in the mainstream, if that makes sense? Like I feel like grindcore's been around a long time, but I don't feel like it's ever gotten the kind of attention to the. It's very musically talented. It's very musically driven, and I just feel like it's never been acknowledged the way stuff like death metal, thrash metal. Those are very technical stuff too, and it's just never been in the same kind of like breath, I guess.
100%. And I'll tell you why I think that is, even though my opinion is completely fucking useless. Grindcore, like a lot of the heavier styles, has desperately grindcore is very akin to punk in a lot of ways, where it desperately tries to stay away from the mainstream. I think grindcore very purposely tries to make itself as unattractive and unappeasing to human beings as it conceivably fucking can. You know what I mean? Okay. Like if grindcore were trying to describe itself as a form of sex, grindcore likes to be presented as prison sex. It is not a thing that anybody likes to talk about, to envision, like. And when you talk to grindcore fans, they're very like, no, the bands I listen to, you haven't heard of, and I'm happy about that.
Okay.
And as fellow writer, Chris is saying here, it's considered too extreme, like anti-music. That's why the grindcore motto is noise, not music, but still makes it incredibly technically advanced. Dillinger's Game Plan, for all of their prowess, adopt a lot of grindcore aspects in the sense of like, this needs to be noise. This needs to be scary and fucked up. I
agree. There's something to grindcore musicians that I feel like are very underappreciated, because some of those guys pull off some things that you just can't wrap your mind around. And I've been lucky enough to start taking lessons from Chris Arp from Psyopus, and he's got some grindy elements in there. But once he started breaking it down, I'm like, bro, this is amazing. Like the process that you took to get to what you're doing is just as good, if not better, than like some of the like classical guitar stuff. That's just, it's the same shreddy like style. It's just you're talking about songs like Duct Tape Smile.
Yeah. Which, when you look at something like that as a whole, it's not a pleasing experience. But when you start to break little elements of it down, you're just kind of like, one, holy fuck, you guys are playing fast.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck? Mm-hmm. Even if you look at it from a vocalist aspect, there is little nooks and crannies of the human capability that is unlocked in grindcore that you didn't think were physically fucking possible as a singer. Mm-hmm. So it's a very interesting little style, and it's definitely something to be studied, but in small doses, because I don't know about you, I definitely can't go into that world for too long.
No.
Migraines.
Yeah, I definitely feel like I've tried to find a balance between something like sound editing creation and like heavy low, where you get those really cool chuggy riffs, and then somewhere in there's like a dance riff, and I don't know where that. Yeah, that's like random dance riff will show up.
So that's actually I Wrestled a Bear once for me. That was about as close to enjoying grindcore as I think I've gotten that I can think of.
Okay.
A lot of those songs and a lot of parts of those songs were really full on fucking grindcore, and then you've got the singer bouncing around in a fucking Furby costume. Like they're there's levels of deranged avant-garde shit going on here. But we have most definitely dwelled on this topic far too long, so we're gonna keep moving. So I want to talk a little bit about some of the content you guys have put out, and specifically the video for Gore is Right, which is very entertaining, I might add. The first thing I have to ask you is explain the hernia. What the fuck happened?
Oh, okay. So I'm glad you brought that up, because so many people think that's a joke, like that's an in joke.
No, you were bound to a chair.
Yeah, it's absolutely real. My normal job is I work at UPS, and while working at UPS, and I have no what's the word, like non-disclosure clause. Like I can talk about it freely because I got hurt.
Sick. Go for it.
I got hurt while working at UPS. I was lifting. They have this area called bulk, and bulk is anywhere from 70 to 150 pounds.
Okay.
Now, when I was doing that job, you're supposed to be designated another person to be able to help you in case anything over a certain weight you're not able to do on your own. When lockdown hit, those precautions were kind of ignored. We were getting almost quadruple the amount of flow that we were getting before, the quadruple the amount of packages that we were getting before, and the job turned from let's get done when we get done to no, like we have to get everything done, because if not, it's going to bleed into tomorrow. So we were pulling longer days, more hours, more packages, and in doing that, my body went enough's enough. Yeah. Something's going to happen. Picked up a piece of bulk, felt something weird, woke up the next day in a severe amount of pain, went to the doctor, did the whole process. Within this process, already having scheduled the music video.
Of course.
The music video is already like, I've got 10 other people relying on me. We have all these, ideas lined up already, and I'm in the middle of getting hurt. And against a lot of, probably what was recommended, I had surgery. 2 days later, we shot the video. So
listen, you basically did the equivalent of getting stranded on an island and making friends with a volleyball. Like,
my band was saying, like, we can reschedule this, like we can do this. I think our label rep was saying the same thing, like, yo, like, reschedule it. Like, you're not going to be able to do anything. I was like, no, like, this needs to get done. The record's out. Like, I'm not putting this off just because I'm stuck in a chair. Everybody else can be funny too. Like, we'll make it work.
Just Professor X that bitch. You got this.
Yeah. So really the hardest part of that shoot, because I love my dudes and I love the dudes that were also in the video takers levers. I love those guys. The problem was when you get all of them together, they are hilarious.
Oh yeah. So just laughing is going to pop a stitch.
Laughing hurts so bad. So yeah, I mean, that's the long short of it. The long short of it is the hernia was real. The surgery was real. I was really stuck in a chair, trying not to. I looked like I was 70 years old, surrounded by 20-year-old dudes who are like doing three-legged races and tug of wars, and I'm stuck in the chair like, I want to die.
Oh, you're like a math course Stephen Hawking. It's great.
Yeah.
So that actually bleeds perfectly into my next question. I do have to know, other than the mass poultry genocide in terms of the egg throwing, were there any further injuries or casualties or anything that needs to be released that happened as part of shooting
Sure.
Gore's right?
So yeah, the eggs were one thing, and what's funny about the eggs is the guy who got beat with the eggs ended up with a big bruise because somebody just fastball right
Yeah.
rib.
There was a few that just kind of like bounced off him, and
Yeah. Yeah.
that doesn't look like that should happen.
I feel like that probably hurt more because they didn't break. The three-legged race, our bass player ended up with a ring around his leg because it was the bass player who is like 5 foot nothing and probably at the time 110 pounds.
And then Phil, who is literally a condominium.
There you go. And Phil was not taking any prisoners when it came to a video shoot. No, it was not a video shoot. It was, I'm going to beat these guys because if I don't, my pride is going to get hurt. So he fully like dragged our bass player, Steven, to the finish line.
I mean, it kind of looked like he was literally carrying him at certain points.
Yeah.
Where it was just like, just come here, little one.
I wish I could tell you that was the first take. It wasn't. He did that quite a few takes.
Oh, of course he did. That just makes it so much better. I mean,
I don't think there were any other major injuries. I mean, yeah, I think that was really the main ones. Like the tug of war, like they didn't bring gloves, so their hands were burnt.
Oh, of course. Why would you be prepared for something like that?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that was about it.
That still completely satiates my need for carnage and violence, so I appreciate that deeply. There is definitely a certain sense of bravado found in everything about that video, as well as your other videos, including for the previously mentioned Vanisher, that is heavily wrestling influenced, and I do have to ask about that. I did toil on this, I might add. Who brings this influence into the band more so than everybody else? Or is it something that's collectively amongst all of you? You just all hard mark for wrestling. Even the Arson Choir belt, like, that was detailed, dude.
So, this is okay. So we're gonna dive into a little bit of my actual past.
Okay.
At the end of high school, I had a choice to go do music or become a professional wrestler, and I had a lot of friends that were into wrestling and were also, at the time it was doing the backyard wrestling thing, but it was in the idea that this is going to train us to go further. Mm-hmm. And the wrestlers that you see in Vanisher, no, I'm sorry.
Yes, yeah. Well, Vanisher does have actual wrestlers in it from what I see. Yeah.
The wrestlers in Vanisher, one of those is a friend of mine, and he was one of the ones that, I went through high school with, and he went professional and is an active indie wrestler. So when Arson kind of figured out, like, we have to do more than just be a band, like we have all these ideas of things that we want to do, and Phil had these ideas of things we want to do, is when we kind of started connecting, like Phil and I connected on the wrestling thing. It was like, let's start injecting what we like about wrestling into it. And I am of the mindset that I can relate almost anything to wrestling or in a wrestling context. So like selling, marking out, kayfabe, heel, face. Like I can make a gimmick. Gimmick's a big word that we use in this band. Because I feel like you can relate all of those things to other aspects of being in band life.
Oh yeah.
If somebody marks out for the t-shirt design, or somebody, keeping kayfabe in front of the camera just means don't be a dick in front of like everybody that's around. Being a heel, heel band or a heel member, is just the dude that's a dick in the band. Like don't be the fucking heel.
Formerly known as the Acacia strain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
fills the face. At the end of the day, it fills the face of the band. Like as much as I appreciate being able to do this, there's very few bands that revolve around anybody other than the vocalist. So the vocalist tends to be the face of the band. I relate a lot of things, including, wrestling, band life, stand-up comedy, acting, all kinds of things kind of relate back to just being a wrestling head, being a wrestling nerd.
It's such a little ecosystem. It's such a unique little place in the world that was created just through professional wrestling and World Wrestling Entertainment, if you will. It's such an interesting thing to sit and study. And I'm with you. As a child, I loved that shit, and I fell out of it. I fell into loves of watching people actually beat the shit out of each other, but I relate to you so much in that sense, and it's so cool to see that you've taken so much of your love for that and tried to incorporate the knowledge that you gained just studying this unique little thing and tried to implement it into such a whole other ecosystem.
Sure, it's I think there's a misunderstanding with something like wrestling where for a long time it was a lot of people's guilty pleasure, and and I think what's starting to happen, at least with guys our age who grew up with it and appreciate it as more than just a guy that goes, well, it's rigged, it's fake.
Yeah, but there's storyline. It's not because I'm watching two people combat each other. It's because I'm watching a soap opera.
Right.
I am here for the entertainment factor.
I think the best. We watch a review site called OSW, Old School Championship Wrestling. It's a review. They're a team of Irish dudes that review older pay-per-views, and sometimes they do the current ones. But their perspective has always been, well, watching wrestling is no different than watching Game of Thrones. You're watching an action-based soap opera. Regardless of how, like, to whoever goes out there and says, like, oh, wrestling's fake, it's like, well, yeah, well, so are 90% of the things that you watch. You think, like, Marvel movies are real? Like, you think that's real? No, it's entertainment. And what's real, what becomes real, is when you start seeing the people put their bodies on the line and put their bodies through things and aren't able to get back up. And that's when, like, you don't want to see that happen to a stuntman. Like I appreciate I appreciate old Jackie Chan movies where you get to see the
scenes that he actually injured himself in.
The ending reel of when he's taking a fall and he's like, I broke this, I broke my face, I broke my leg. It's just as real as that, and they're doing it for your entertainment, your and my entertainment.
100%.
So when you are able to relate that to something like wrestling, I think people have learned to appreciate it more as, oh, it doesn't have to be MMA. MMA, sure, MMA is real, and boxing is real. But sometimes I just want to be entertained and not worry.
Sometimes you really just want the storyline. You don't want to have to, there's less chaos to it and more entertainment in a way. It's not anybody's going to have their day. It's something is here to further a story, and I want to watch that story progress and unfold upon itself.
So if you take that idea, just literally what you said, take that idea and extrapolate it and turn it into a band.
That is fucking fantastic. I love that.
That's all it is. It's taking somebody's story, somebody's song, and enjoying it for entertainment, delving into whatever the story you're trying to convey is, and it just happens to be with guitars. And to me, that's life. That's stand-up comedy. It's taking somebody's joke that may have not been totally funny in the moment and molding it and adapting it and presenting it and then turning that into like entertainment. And the struggle is the same. It's traveling. It's getting in front of people that aren't going to like you all the time. It's cutting off relationships sometimes. It's going through monetary and personal, issues. That's why I don't understand when there's this competition, or this not competition, this misunderstanding of like we're all artists. At the end of the day, we're all trying to do the same thing. We're all trying to just express our art.
Yeah. And that's where you would think there would be a lot more connectivity. And, with conversations like what you and I are having, hopefully more connectivity will come.
I hope so.
It's good that you mentioned the Marvel movie thing, because I do have a fun little section for you. And then we are going to try to quickly get ourselves, as we are a little tight on time, to all of these wonderful people that are watching are going to be able to ask you some questions that I didn't write.
I'm down to whatever, bro.
Good shit. I have a little section I like to call Battle of the Blank. It is what I put everybody through. I make a little list of fictional fights to the death, and I want you to tell me who you think would win. Now, I did dance with doing the wrestling one, and then bailed off it because I was doing a huge deep dive on your social medias as much as I could. I'm not stalking you, I promise.
Talk away, bro.
With which I found a whole lot of superhero memes.
And
I thought, I can make this work.
Okay.
So what I've done is a Battle of the Blank comic book edition, but specifically live renditions of superheroes. Okay. So we, for this first example, are going to have a triple threat, which I believe is the correct term if I remember my wrestling lingo well enough, between the 3 live iterations of Spider-Man. Who would win in a fight to the death? Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, or Tom Holland?
I gotta
Each more emo than the last.
Yeah, I gotta go with Tobey Maguire, because the dude's a man. The dude was a man at the beginning of the first Spider-Man. He was like close to his
He's
30s.
an adult. Yeah.
So that's always funny when you go back and see those movies where you see like 30-year-old dudes trying to play high school students. And but he was by far the most well built, but as far as like well represented, Tom Holland might have had the best tech, if that makes sense, because he's got Tony Stark's backing behind him, so he might have the best tech out of everybody. I'm gonna always go old school. The original trilogy is the best. Like,
I'm impressed to hear that answer. Genuinely, I had no idea which way this one would go. I definitely know where this next one is going to go, though, and I'm very excited to ask this one. We've done Spider-Man. Now we have to do his counterpart. Who would win in a fight to the death between the 2 live iterations of Venom, Topher Grace or Tom Hardy?
Man, what's funny is I feel like Topher Grace gets a lot of heat for
being casted into a role that he shouldn't have been casted into. Yes, I agree.
Yeah. But that new Venom was that. Oh man,
that was hard to watch.
That was tough to watch. And Tom Hardy's such a beast.
Yeah.
I'll bend and say Tom Hardy just because I feel like he whatever he does next is going to redeem that first Venom movie. We're not going to get that. We're not going to get that for Topher Grace. There's no going back to that. As much as like that, the multiverse might be opened up. We're going to get another Venom, and I'm hoping with more exploration into Venom and finally seeing Carnage, we'll get something to where let's actually turn this into a character that makes sense in a way.
This is a conversation you and I could have for hours. I have, for spoiler alert for anybody who hasn't seen Venom yet, I don't really give a shit. It's your fault at this point. I have a problem with Woody Harrelson with a curly red wig on.
Okay,
I have a big problem with that.
I'm with you because I would have been totally okay with bald-headed Woody Harrelson. With like
if he can get the laugh down, I don't give a fuck. Get the laugh down. And we're
just
cool.
a red shirt. Just give him like a red shirt, and it's like okay, cool. Like he's got a red shirt because he's a psych ward or whatever. Like that's why he's red shirt. Bald-headed Woody Harrelson as a villain is scary.
Oh yeah. He can totally be fucked up. Like I said, I cannot stick on this for too long. I am personally the kind of person that likes to see at least mild throwbacks to either comic book reference, like you're not just butchering this for the sake of making a dollar. You gotta have some little bit of comic book reference, not just using the name, not just using the costume, or like 90s cartoon reference.
Sure.
Get the Cletus Cassidy laugh down, and I'm cool. I don't give a single fuck.
Done.
So this next one, and arguably the biggest possible battle of the blank I ever could have conceived. It is a Batman battle royale. Who wins in a fight to the death between Michael Keaton, Christian Bale, George Clooney, Val Kilmer, and Ben Affleck?
Okay, so Jesus.
Right?
Ben Affleck put on an amazing, body like transformation, and I really appreciate that.
Somebody put tits on tits.
Yeah. That being said, I feel like Michael Keaton is still Batman. Like people still see him as Batman, and I would love to see Batman Beyond with old man Michael Keaton, old man Bruce Wayne, because the dude looks it. That being said, I don't think George Clooney or Val Kilmer will ever make the cut ever again.
No, nor would I think they either want to.
Yeah,
like Clooney especially looks at his time as Batman with like PTSD face.
Yeah. That being said, I think Val Kilmer did a great Bruce Wayne, and I think that's understated in what he did. Christian Bale, I don't think explored Bruce Wayne the way that I wanted.
Nope.
For me, Batman has always been Batman is the personality, and Bruce Wayne is the mask, is the character, right? Yeah. And I feel like he's just been Batman, like he's always Batman. I don't know.
Ultimately, who wins in a fight to the death?
If we're talking about just pure fist fight, I think I got to go with Patrick Bateman. Patrick Bateman, Christian Bale. He's built like a tank. He's got the Krav Maga background. The dude throws down like a fight. Like it looks like that's what a fight would look like with a superhero. There's an intensity there that I don't think the other ones can bring.
I genuinely did not know where that was going to go, but I do have one last extension to that question. And then for everybody watching in the chat, once again, you have been incredibly patient. I appreciate it with all my little fucking heart. Get your questions ready. They are coming up soon. Do any of them beat Kevin Conroy?
No.
Conroy just fucks all of them up.
Conroy's God. Conroy is the Batman that we all like want to have happen at some point. Even if you do something to where you can do a live action where you voice over Conroy to whoever the actor is.
Yeah, I agree. I wholeheartedly agree. And I didn't include Adam West because that's low-hanging fruit. We do have one very last question. We here at Bucketlist love to ask it in every single interview because we are the cheesiest fucks around, and I will not change that for anything. What is left on either you, Marc, or as a whole with the Arson Choir? What is left on your bucket list?
For me, dude, every day is a bucket list. Every day is trying to make sure that whatever I do, at the end of the day, I'm happy with my life. Because, like I said, the way that I run the band, the way that I run my life. When I go to work tonight, something can happen. Just saying, like anything can happen at any time. I could fall out of bed and hurt myself and die. Like, so I try to make sure that whatever I do for the day, like I've hit those marks. Today was guitar lessons, and I feel like I made some progress, and I feel like I try to translate that into everything I do. So like this is a bucket list thing, just being able to have a conversation with you about my dumb band and connect with you in a way that like is meaningful. That's a bucket list thing, because that's something that regardless of whatever happens, I'll have that experience and we'll have that together. And it's awesome. For the band, if it's a bucket list thing, I mean, I wish I could tell you, like we would love to tour Japan and we would love to make it across the sea to the UK, because I think that'd be great. I'd love to make it to, East Coast and Canada and South America, and I'd love to take this band everywhere. Right now, I just want to play a show again. Let's just get back to playing shows. You know,
I feel that so intimately. Oh boy, I am with you, and I can tell you now. Make your way up to the Great White North. You will most definitely have a comfy couch to sleep on, which you should not take. Go to an actual hotel. My apartment is a shoebox. I have done it. I have gone through everything that I wrote. For those of you sitting in the chat, we have a couple of minutes. We would love to see your questions for Marc. I believe we had a couple before that. Hopefully, we'll be able to dig up. This is where the mighty Lizard Queen herself is going to do her fantastic work. All right, so Chrissy had a great question. Favorite horror movie? And that's a question for both of us. I should not answer that. So, Marc, what is your favorite horror movie?
Favorite horror movie, probably. Favorite horror movie tends to cycle out every couple of years. I've always been a big fan of American Psycho, Evil Dead 2, Man with No Name is technically a horror movie, like it's technically a horror like action movie. Let's see if it's something more recent. I've always been a fan of the original Saw movie. The original Saw movie blew my mind when I saw it in theaters.
Number 2 did it for me, so I'm with you there.
And if I had to go with like the most traumatic movie I've ever watched when I was a child, it was Hellraiser.
Ha! And now, as what you guys can't see is, once again, the mighty Lizard Queen is sitting in the background right now, not actually in either of our apartments, but in the, you get what I mean, just gleaming, which isn't even a fucking word. Fantastic. I fucking love that. I actually, one of the many movies that she forced me to watch recently, and in that moment, Jesus did, in fact, weep. Yeah. Do we have any other questions?
Do you have anything?
Anything? Silence. I love the silence. Bring it on, people.
Whatever you got for me, I'm down.
Absolutely anything. We will give it a couple of minutes while we are waiting for some questions to come through, sure, which they inevitably will. I am going to do a little bit of shameless self-promotion that we have to do here at Bucketlist Music Reviews. This week, we have a huge announcement that's going to be coming out by the end of the week. So everybody should most definitely be paying attention to our social medias. We have some incredible stuff that is going to be coming out from the mouth of one of Liz Imperiali herself. And then after that, next week, we're going to be taking a break from our Q&A Tuesdays. We will not have anything scheduled, but the following week after, which is February the 23rd at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on the Bucketlist Music Reviews Facebook, Liz herself is going to be interviewing Pallbearer, which is going to be fucking awesome. Write it down, put it in your calendars, accept the invite when you get it. It's going to be an amazing interview. We have another great question from Riley Rowe. Best Dillinger album, in your opinion?
Oh, come on. Bro, that's like pitting your kids against each other.
I like that. I'm an Ironworks guy. I hate me for it. I don't care. I am 100% an Ironworks man.
Ironworks? Dude, there's some dope riffs on there. I would regret not saying Calculated Infinity was probably the best work. Okay. It may not be as far as the best sounding work, but the guitar work and everything in that record you can trace the past 15 years of mathcore to that record.
Makes sense. Makes absolute sense. I did miss this because I'm a jackass. Liz asked, what do you think is the worst Hellraiser movie out of the 97 of them that are out there?
Oh, the one that's not even a Hellraiser movie, the game one. There's one where it's they go to a house party because of some kind of game, and the game is supposed to be in the Hellraiser. That one, that wasn't even a Hellraiser movie.
Liz for sure knows which one it is, and I kind of want her to pop into the live just to say which one it is, so we can all lament over it. Let me see. She won't, but
let me see if
she knows I want her to.
It real fast. But yeah, it's the one that's not even a Hellraiser. Was it Hellworld? No. I'll tell you right now.
Go for it. Whatever time. We have all the time we want, technically.
Yeah, no, I'm not in a rush. Let me see if it might be Hellworld. It's the one with Lance Hendrickson.
We're gonna see who gets to it first.
Yeah, Hellworld. Surprisingly enough, It has Henry Cavill in it.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Our current Superman was in a Hellraiser movie.
I need to see this. Was he still? He tells a story on Graham Norton about how he used to be called Fat Cavill. I would love to see if he was still apparently Fat Cavill back then.
Fat?
Yeah, there was a time where Henry Cavill wasn't actually made out of stone. We have another great question here. Once again, of the Bucketlist team, Chris asks, "How good are your math skills considering y'all are math core?"
Okay, so this is actually a legit question because when we were conceiving ideas to do music videos, there was a whole section that we had to cut where it was us in white scientist uniforms doing math that would equal an Arson song. That being said, my math skills aren't terrible. Like I can put numbers together in a way that makes sense. But as far as when you apply math to what we do, it's more a what's the word that I'm looking for? It's more of a time signature math style where a lot of bands do the 4/4, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Sure. When I have to convey that to the drummer, it ends up being like 1, 2, 3, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Like the repetition starts changing.
Mm-hmm.
That's what the math element is.
For sure. Well, it is good to hear that you're keeping up with it. Because if you were put me in that situation, I'd be fucked. I can barely count to 10 at the end of the day. What the fuck is my life? We have another fantastic question here from Bonnie Hannum. Where did you come up with the name for the Arson Choir?
I love that question because it's not anywhere as satisfying as anybody ever thinks it's going to be.
Sick.
I shouldn't even say we, when we were developing names, there were things being thrown out. At the time, there was a documentary by the Foo Fighters, and they were doing their record where they were going to different studios around America and recording a song from each studio.
Once again, something Liz definitely knows the name of that record. She'll probably write it in the chat knowing her.
And in one of their songs, it was a line about the arsonist choir.
Okay.
And something about that rang to me. It sounded good. Like the name sounded like something. And then I was like, well, there's already like the arsonist, and arsonists get all the girls, and arsonist became the thing. And we just didn't want to be that. So, the Arson Choir got shortened.
I fucking love it, man. I fucking love it. We've got one last question, and then we're going to be wrapping it up. From Gerald Little Owl Jr. Was there a guitar riff or segment of a song that you had a hard time with, but eventually made it into the record? I guess more so than others.
Yeah. I guess the best way to tell you or to answer that is going to be, I actually had a hard time with the song Gore. I wrote it, and I kind of wrote it as a way to get the guys on my side for a song, if that makes sense. Like I kind of wrote it as like, we need to write. I wrote that as more a way for them to get on board with a song. It was a little bit more digestible. If you break down Gore, there's a lot of 4/4, there's a lot of rock feel, and there's not a lot of the mathy, like crazy time signature.
Okay.
So that being said, when we started, finalizing it and everything, it just wasn't my favorite song at the time. It wasn't a song that I like particularly gravitated towards until I really sat down with Phil and his lyrics. And once I sat down with Phil and his lyrics, that song really resonated in a way that I wasn't expecting. And I'm not saying it's like one of my favorite songs. I try not to have a favorite song because once you have a favorite song, I feel like I'm going to write that formula over and over again. But when you apply what his lyrics are in my views, where he's saying like, stop, the song is basically, it to me means stop reaching for a God that's not going to answer you. Look for the answer inside yourself.
Nice.
And for me, that always resonated. For me, that meant more to me now than I think any other time that I related to that song, because I feel like reliance on yourself is going to give you more answers than finding whatever invisible man you pray to. And that's not a shot at anything. That's just in the song.
No, for sure.
That's literally
everybody's entitled to their own life, life philosophies. That's a fucking fantastic way to look at it.
Yeah, and I'm not knocking anybody for whatever they believe in. You're allowed, you have the right to believe in whatever you want. But for me, what it meant more was I'm responsible for me. I need to be responsible for what I do and not depend that some magical person is going to save the world or save whatever. I felt like that kind of put him in a better perspective to me than anything else. That's if that makes sense. Like that was kind of what I struggled with. That was what I struggled with that song. That part of the record was my struggle. Was going. How can I relate to this song so I'm not like, I hate this song. Like, no, I love our songs. I love what we do. But that was one that it took a minute.
For sure. I mean, it's also hard not to, especially in that particular case, not to see it as like, I know why I'm writing this. It's so that I can pull the rug out under the rest of my bandmates and get them to keep liking everything else I'm writing.
Right.
And I love that. I fucking love that. And you really, once again, put out a fucking fantastic record. I'm super excited to see everything else that's coming out. Do you have anything you want to plug before we start closing it out for the night?
Oh, I can plug all night, bro. The best thing I can tell you, and I can tell anybody that watches this, anybody that does, online anything, is share. It costs nothing to share. It costs $0 to share a post, which might eventually turn into somebody's t-shirt sale or record sale or whatever, because right now is the time to do it, because everybody's either at home or on their phone or on their computer, and just share. Just if you take 2 seconds of your day to share something, that's all it costs. It doesn't cost you any money to share. That being said, my dudes in Steak Sauce Mustache, Takers Levers, The Sound That Ends Creation, please check those bands out. They're all great people, great bands, not just mathcore, not just heavy, just good, solid bands, good, solid dudes. I always recommend to, thank you for having me on here, because the fact that you give me a platform to talk about my dumb little band, like, it means everything to me. So thank you, Liz. Thank you, Bucketlist. Thank you for taking the time to just do this with me.
And thank you for making it, man. You give me as much purpose as you think I give you.
That being said, check us out on Instagram. It's at The Arson Choir. Facebook is, Facebook/The Arson Choir. We have a Bandcamp. It's Bandcamp, thearsonchoir.bandcamp.com. Go check out our record label, which is War Against Records. Another great place to discover music. There's bands like us, Pressure Cracks. Oh crap, I can't think of the name right now, but there's another great band.
You got it. It's coming.
Go check them out. Buy something, because right now, whatever money that we get is just going back to the machine. It's going back into getting that full length that you want. That's I mean, as much as I would love to go on, and I know you have a time limit, but yeah, I'm up for whatever. Anytime you want to do this again, I'm always down.
Oh, it's going to fucking happen. We do have a very special request from Riley Rowe that I will have to turn down. We've been asked to finish by kissing, which is apparently the title of our sex tape.
I can we can scissor if you want.
I would scissor with you all day, all night, motherfucker. I will see your several linkages and have to spew a few of my own for all of you watching. Once again, thank you for tuning in. We deeply appreciate you, Marc, for continuing to create your craft. To watch this video again, you can either see it right here on Facebook, or you can check out our YouTube at Bucketlist TV on YouTube. Check out our Twitter at Bucketlist Music Reviews on Twitter, Bucketlist MR on Instagram, and our website website at bucketlistmusicreviews.com, where once again, we have some fucking killer news coming out this week. Thank you all again for tuning in. We deeply fucking appreciate it. And have yourselves a wonderful night. We'll see you in 2 weeks.